Okay, let's create the three databases. Underneath Wolfpack, you click Add New. First database I'm making is the tasks database. It's the easiest to think about. Let's start with the task tracker and see how we like it. Priority task type, updated, no, attached. I don't need these other things. Effort level, I don't want that. Description, I don't want that in the table. So I'll just start with these two properties. By status, this is where it's a board of not started, in progress, and done. That'll be one of the views. All tasks is my default, and then just my tasks. If I was on a team, then it would just get filtered to tasks assigned to me. I don't need that because I'm a team of one right now. Could add that feature when I have employees. I'm keeping it more simple because artists and freelancers have no time. Okay, so next, task tracker. What this is where I'm going to have the most granular information about what I'm working on. And if you think about the whole consultant firm, you've got everything from frontline administration for booking clients, accounts receivable, all the nitty gritty that you need to do right or it's expensive someday. Then you have all the way up to executive stuff where you're doing sales pitches and you're doing proposals. All of those things need to be represented here in the task database. So listing all that stuff, it would be overwhelming to just list out all of those tasks in one place and keep yourself organized. That wouldn't be any more helpful than just having Post-it notes. I love Post-it notes too, but they're not a source of truth. The tasks is just the most granular building block of this Notion setup. And so I start there as we organize our tasks into projects and then associate those tasks and projects with your product. Move on to making the next database, which I think should be logically the products database. Okay. This I'm just going to create a empty database so I don't get shoeboxed into this. In a consultant firm or a freelance business, you have to be quite flexible with your offering. Okay, so this is products. I'm going to put Wolfpack products in there so I can easily distinguish it from here. And I think I'll maybe rename this RML products. Okay, and then I can easily find Wolfpack products. And okay, so what are my products here? Let's add some products and then I'll start adding properties to them. First one is what I call my base project. Once I add this text to this table, it creates a page. That's why open is there. And so this database is going to contain pages. If I click open, this is Wolfpack's base project product page. And so I can, let me just put what this is. Start just chunky and raw and get your ideas down. This is what Notion is so awesome at. I'm going to add an icon to my products here to distinguish them. I find it easier to do it while you're thinking about it, while you're making the page, rather than go back and dream up icons. Wolfpack's first product in the products database. Base client, we'll call this engagement. All right, now I'm going to add some properties to this. I want to be able to distinguish internal products from subscription products or project recurring, creative projects that are hourly. So I'm just going to put in for now a new property that is multi-select, meaning I'm going to give it its what you possible choices are, not just put any text here. I strongly advise not to just have open text fields in Notion because it's too hard to maintain. instead have multi-select and build that out. So what I'm going to call this multi-select is product type. And here, multi-select text would be, I could just put anything, and here are your other types. But I'm going to put in a new, here, this is a consultant hourly project. And then I can add other options here. Duplicate this, and this is project solo client. And instead of hourly, this is consultant monthly project. All right, cool. I did this on purpose. I wanted you to see that this is allowing 2 in product type. I've toyed around with letting this happen, and if you have products that kind of overlap or types that overlap, it gets too confusing. If you have that type of overlap, I think you should just limit this to only 1 is selectable. And if you have overlap, create a new product type if it's that important to represent it, or just choose 1. That's where like overthinking Notion can bog you down. Remember, it's yours. There's not a way you need to do it, and it's never going to be 100% accurate to reality. So make it easy on yourself and limit this to 1. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to get rid of hourly, and then here when I go to select, instead of multi-select, it's select. Yes, there we go. All right, cool. Product type, and duplicate, focus. Okay. Other properties you might want to put in to Notion. Think about how you're going to use these. You need to put some sort of financial metric on this product. I kind of boil everything into months. So let's create a new number property, and we'll call this monthly rate. I'm going to make this star and currency. Okay, and number format, you can choose US dollar. Decimal places, I don't need any. This one is a range. Usually people are hourly with me for a month or 2, and they pay like $3,000. The solo client engagement, I'm going to reorder this because focus is the middle product, and that's 10,600, and this one's 12. And let's do another number where this is hours per week. I'm going to call it product hours per week. Not sure exactly how I'll use this yet, but I will. It's another important attribute. 25, 25. Let's call it 5. So this is my introductory product to see if there's fit, and to not have a commitment that's too expensive for the first month or 2. For really small clients, it takes them a while to align their resources with providing the data I need and stuff like that. And then once the measurement stuff is in place and the communication's better, we get into a beat, then they can start feeling the ROI, and it's a win-win to move to project. There's my little plug. Let's move back into this. I did not mean to do a plug just there. I'm sorry. It's just in my mind. This is what Notion does, though. As you work on your business, the gears turn in your mind as far as this is going to turn into revenue. This is going to turn into clients. I want to show you another example. Let's just say I also sold hats. Okay. Let's call this Wolfpack hat. And I may. Product type, this could be merchandise. And let's change this to a shirt to represent merchandise. Okay, merchandise monthly rate doesn't apply to this. That's okay. Let's make a new product that is product price. All right, so this shows that you don't need to be hard fixed on one property feeds all your products. It's just to keep you organized. This, a shirt is cost per item, and then a client engagement is a cost per month. When you get to the formula part of projecting revenue or profit off of these numbers, your formula will just include, some logic to include monthly rates for these products or product price for these products and do the math. That math becomes easier versus needing to build in if-then statements based on one column. That's how Notion is better than other tools I find like Trello or Quicken, things like that. You get really shoehorned into one attribute meaning multiple things. It's just a recipe for disaster. All right, so the product price here, I'm going to use maybe a cash register. Do we have that? Yeah. Each. That's just to remind future Ryan of the conversation I just had there. So let's say a Wolfpack hat was $25. Okay, added property to US dollars. I don't need decimals on this one. Okay, let's make an internal product, the Wolfpack LinkedIn company page. All right. There are tasks that are going to be associated with it, so it needs to be associated with a product and a project. That's how it makes the most sense. That means your internal projects, which will be on the projects board, that's intuitive, will have tasks, internal tasks. That's intuitive too. But the non-intuitive part is what do you put on the products database? And why does it matter? Well, with products, you can track, you can put documents inside of a product that live forever versus a project starts and ends. In other words, you could have a project which is a month-long LinkedIn campaign from June 1st to June 30th. And that campaign is feeding into this LinkedIn product. And then in July, you have another campaign, but it's feeding the same product. You don't want to have a new LinkedIn product. And then every past campaign can be looked at just through this page here once you set it up right. Let's give this a red internal icon, product type. This is a media channel. Monthly rate does not apply. Next, add an icon to products. Let's go with blue. And then tasks. Okay, let's make this orange and a grid also. Grid? Yeah, let's make it orange. See how close to our amount that's different enough.